Hey guys, welcome to another video. I'm here with Kale this time, and we are both here to talk about how we transitioned from full-time 9-to-5s to full-time business owners. We are going to talk about in this video the whole process of what pushed us to quit and how we quit and how we set up our lives and our budget so that we were able to do that without worrying about money. And basically, yeah, that whole process, how we feel about it now, and the lessons that we've learned since we've made this decision. As you guys know, early on in 2020, we had a lot of festivals lined up. We had a lot of farmers markets lined up. We were going to go full into this business. We were planning on quitting our jobs 2020 regardless of what had happened. So that was the original plan. And then the illness happened, which pretty much derailed that plan. We're going to talk about how we coped with that and how even with that happening, we were still able to finally quit our jobs and go into this business full time. If you're new here, I'm Jerica.
And I'm Kale.
And we are the owners and creators of Quench, which is a soap and bath bomb company. And on this channel, we talk all about how we run our business and how we sell our products and our whole business journey. So if that's something that you are interested in, please subscribe and give this video a like. And for all of you guys who have already subscribed and who have been following us from the very beginning, hi, and we appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. And now let's get to the video. So ever since I started posting regularly and starting to get a lot of comments coming in, one big comment or question that people were having was, how did we start this life in the first place? How did you guys go from full-time 9-to-5 to going into your business full-time? Well, both of us, we had our 9-to-5s all throughout 2019, and we had a pretty successful 2019, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. The end of 2019 is when it really started to pick up for us. Going into the fall and the winter season, the Christmas time season, we were still doing our work, our 40-hour weeks, 40-hour plus sometimes, but then weekends we were away at different shows. We had great success there, and that's kind of where the springboard of us thinking, hey, maybe this can lead into something more to where we are doing this full time. Yeah,
we were making big plans. We were making big plans for growth in 2020, basically because we were already making a pretty decent profit in addition to our 9-to-5 jobs. So we just figured with 2020, we would do all of that times 10. So we were already in our minds financially planning everything out, and based on what we thought we could make in 2020, we thought for sure we'd be able to leave our jobs behind at some point in 2020. And by the time 2020 started, we had already signed up for so many farmers markets and so many events. And these were all festivals and events that we had heard about earlier or throughout 2019 from other vendors, and we're like, oh, we can't wait to do that ourselves. So we had literally 5 times more events booked in 2020 than we did in 2019. So we were super excited about that. And yeah, if we wanted to do all of that, we would have had to quit our 9-to-5s because it would have just been way too crazy. So our deadline, would you say, to fully quit our jobs, our original deadline was April 2020. That was kind of where we were thinking. That's when the first of our events were scheduled to begin. So we were thinking, okay, that's the perfect time for both of us to step away from our jobs. And at that point, we had been working extensively on our household budget, crunching the numbers and figuring out exactly what we would have needed to make in our business in order to be able to rely financially solely on our business. We were pretty comfortable with the idea that our income, no matter what we thought of it, it was going to grow. We always had a growth mindset when it came to our business because we were basically just going to double down on what we were already doing, which was basically doing our business part-time, even though we were putting in full-time hours. So in our minds, we thought, okay, if we put all of our time into it, for sure it was going to grow and we were going to be fine.
Yeah, not having the mental stress and the physical stress of another job, being able to free up those hours, being able to free up the brain space to put all into this. We knew that whatever numbers we had at the time, they would go up.
And by that point, we had already saved a lot of money. We had been saving a long time. I would say that this decision was a long time coming because we were basically preparing ourselves, even if our business didn't make any money, to be fine, to be able to pay our mortgage, to be able to sustain all of our living expenses. We were happily comfortable with the idea of not even making a single penny. working for ourselves if our business came to that. So we were pretty set by the time 2020 rolled around. We were pretty much decided we were going to do this because we had spent so many years preparing for that moment and building up our business. Like we said, April was our deadline, and when it came around March time, the illness happened.
So in mid-March, when the world turned upside down, when everything just changed, it really affected us. We had 2 indoor winter markets at the time that just stopped. We had no idea when they were going to be coming back into play. All the events that we had scheduled in late March, early April into May, those as a week or 2 went by got canceled. The other ones that were scheduled for later in the summer, it was kind of a we'll let you know, but you could kind of see where things were going, that those were going to be turning to being shut down as well.
We mentioned earlier on, we were planning for the year and foreseeing what we could possibly make in the business and making our plans based on those projections. And with those gone, it basically shrunk our projections because they were no longer around and we were no longer able to make that money. And by that point, our online platforms were barely making any sales. So they weren't really a factor in us planning what our revenues would be. It was kind of like an extra, like if we make money online on our Etsy and our website, it was okay, but we were basing quitting our 9-to-5s all on our in-person festivals, events, and farmers markets. We were relying on those to be our main source of income. So it was when we got the majority of those events canceled that we looked at each other and we were like, okay, let's not quit. It's not the time to quit.
It's a good plan, but it just won't happen this year. Maybe we'll try again in 2021 where we can start doing this full time, but we need to keep working. That was what we were thinking back in April time.
We didn't feel comfortable quitting just yet, even though I did say earlier we had made that decision comfortably thinking that we would be okay not making any money. We still had some fear about quitting completely, obviously. It was a lot of back and forth in our minds. So when the illness hit, it really made us question whether or not we even wanted to go full-time into this industry because everything was just so upside down at the time. I guess it was a moment that made me realize how important it was to diversify your streams of income and not be totally reliant on one way to make money, because that one way to make money can be taken away at any moment. And like I mentioned before, we were not making any sales online. So when those events got canceled, when our farmers markets got canceled, we had all this inventory and preparation for all of these events and farmers markets. We just decided to give it all away. That, and also we thought it would be a great thing for our community and our local customers to lift up their spirits and to lift up morale, because back in April it was such a shock and everyone was very scared about what this meant for everybody and adjusting to the new normal. So we thought, okay, we have all this inventory, we're not going to be able to sell it anyways, let's give back to the community, and we offloaded a lot of our inventory to our customers in our town. It
was really cool. There was a lot of first responders that ended up messaging, or people that knew first responders saying, hey, I'm going to be giving this to my team of 6 nurses up at the hospital. So it turned into a really cool thing.
So it was after the big giveaway, when we were still reeling from the news and adjusting to our new normals, that we started to get a few Etsy sales coming in. And it started off with 1, and then it slowly crept up to 2 to 3 a day. And then within a week of getting that first Etsy sale, we were getting about 5 to 6 a day. And this is near, end of April when that started to happen. Mm-hmm. And we thought that was pretty interesting.
And what holidays coming up after that time, coming up in May, 2nd week, 3rd week in May?
It was Mother's Day, and we totally forgot about that. We totally forgot about Mother's Day. Yeah, I just realized right now that the reason why we weren't prepared for this is because we didn't have an Etsy shop open around this time of year the year before. So I wasn't anticipating getting sales, but now that the Etsy was up there, and I guess it's such a big marketplace of people shopping for handmade, one-of-a-kind type gifts, and because of what was happening around the world and people couldn't physically go to stores to buy things, I guess everyone had gone to Etsy, and our shop, which like I said wasn't making very many sales, it literally blew up. We were getting insane amounts of orders and we could barely keep up. And it was a good thing when we did our giveaway that we didn't give away everything, because we wouldn't have been able to meet the demand. We were pretty much scrambling at that point to fulfill all of the orders and get them out the door in a reasonable time frame.
Very much so. We were completely unprepared, but we were working
Yeah, and
18 hours a day at that point.
so in addition to all that, we still had our 9 to 5s. And we were still thinking, let's not quit. But then this happened.
And that being so new, you don't know. You think, okay, it's because of Mother's Day. Is it going to keep up after this?
Yeah.
You just don't know.
We weren't sure if this was going to last. So
It might be busier than it was before, but
Yeah.
it's it's not going to stay as busy as it was, the week or two before Mother's Day. So it's just a lot of unknowns.
So it was in the thick of this, of all of the orders coming in and us trying to fulfill it, that we realized it would probably be a better idea for Cale to be home instead of going to his job. And also around this point too is when we got a market or two back, right?
Once that did open, there was a lot of support around the community. Not all stores were open. In-store physical shops could only maybe have a couple people in at a time. So this outdoor market was a great place where a lot of community members could come and support the local vendors, and they very much did. Looking ahead to the summer, we knew that this was going to be busy for us 2 days out of the week, and we could see some of our other markets that were shut down. They were going to be opening up soon, so we said, what if we opened up our schedule and made it so we could go to more than just these 2 markets a week?
So because the other markets had opened up again and we were making all these Etsy sales still, our revenues were climbing. We were making really great money. But in this whole time, Cale was still working his job, and his job required him to work on weekends. It was really restricting for us for him to be working his job on the weekends when he could be working these markets and earning way more, because at that point the market support was huge. People were coming out and supporting local businesses. We were actually making more at the farmers market this year than we were last year, so that was a big surprise. And with these new numbers, we were really starting to think, okay, maybe we could actually quit our jobs. That idea started to enter into our minds.
Started to come back.
Yeah,
started to creep back in there.
We were running low on time and we were making money. So these were 2 factors that helped us start to think about that again. I guess that's one thing that you need to think about when you're considering, should I quit my job and start this as a business, is your business even making you money, first of all, and real money, profits. So that's revenue minus all of your expenses. That's one thing to think about. And if your 9 to 5 is keeping you from making more money in your business, that's another thing. And that's basically what Cale's job was preventing, was keeping him from farmers markets where he could be making more money. So at what point did you quit, and why? What was the final straw, would you say, that made you decide to do that?
So I ended up putting in my resignation in mid-June. I remember it was around my dad's birthday. So mid-June, so we had a few markets, like successful markets. We could see other ones opening up now. We wanted to be involved there.
Yeah.
And the final straw was just the unpredictability in schedule. Schedules are posted, the Thursday before a new week starts.
So now with Cale quitting his job, he was now free to put himself 100% into the business, which is awesome because we were still getting the Etsy orders coming in. So Cale was able to get these parcels to the post office, which was awesome. And he was able to vend also. Him being able to vend physically at the markets, I was free to make stuff at home. So it was really just a natural decision. It just made sense that he would do that. And as the summer progressed, we were continuing to make more and more money from the farmers markets. People were really starting to vibe with our company and really wanting to support us. So that was a pleasant and a wonderful surprise. We were really happy about that. And in this whole time, even though we were making great money and even though we were taking on new wholesale customers, which was adding to our revenue, we were continuing to increase our revenue throughout the summer. I was still really hesitant to quit my job. And I know that we had this plan to do this anyways in the beginning of 2020, but I had a really big conflict in my mind about doing it. And I was really scared. Even though I had been preparing myself for years to do something like this, when it came down to it, quitting my 9 to 5 went against everything that my dad and mom taught me since I was a little kid. And that was, if you want to be successful, you go to school, you study, you get a job, and you save for retirement, and then you're supposed to be happy from that. But that type of life didn't gel with what I thought inside my heart, which is I wanted to make money for myself. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I had these 2 mindsets really clashing with one another. And on top of that too, my job was pretty good. I was working from home even before the illness started, and my manager was awesome. He was very understanding about my situation. He was very trusting. He did not micromanage me. He was really happy with my work, and we really worked well together. So it was that too. I didn't want to quit my job really because it was such a pleasant job to have. So there was that to think about. And then on top of that was all the benefits that come with the 9-to-5. There was the health insurance, there was the retirement saving matching, and all of the stuff that goes into what 9-to-5 jobs provide for you. There was that to think about. I was really scared to lose all of that. So even though I wanted to do this, I really had to train my brain to believe in myself because it's so scary. It's a huge decision to do this. And even though every month I was watching what we were making in the business, our profits grow to match what I was actually making at my 9-to-5, even then it was still so hard to imagine what my life would be like without my 9-to-5 because it was such a huge part of my identity.
Editing Jerica here. I am so sorry, but the entire clip that I recorded that had me talking about the moment I quit my job didn't get recorded or got deleted or something like that. Anyways, to fill in the missing part of the story here, and what I was building up to was I actually quit my job at the end of August, and I put in my 2 weeks mid-August. That's what's missing here, so I'm sorry if it jumps forward a little bit in the story, and yeah, let's get right back into it.
So we've now been doing this full-time since September, and ever since we've been doing this full-time and I no longer had my 9-to-5 to worry about and stress about, I was now able to free up my mental space to focus 100% on my business and to also start new projects that ultimately would help my business to grow. And it was around September that I was reached out to by a company that I had featured one of its products in a YouTube video that I created over a year ago. And that company really liked my video that I created and decided to send me some more of that product because they appreciated it so much. And it was then that I realized, okay, YouTube could also be a stream of income at some point. And so that's when I started to focus on that full time. I've always enjoyed making YouTube videos, and I guess in my mind, I've always wanted to include making YouTube videos as an income stream at some point, but I was just so mentally bogged down by having that 9-to-5. I didn't have the freedom really to do it or the time. It was a lot of effort to do in addition to a 9-to-5, in addition to creating a business. Something's got to give, right? So how has becoming full-time affected you? How has it changed your mindset, or how do you feel now that you've decided to become a full-time business owner?
I would say my work ethic is a lot stronger now. I work a lot harder for a lot more hours, but at the same time, at the end of the day, I don't feel as tired from when I worked like a 12-hour shift. It's a lot of excitement when you work. I will get up in the morning, come down, have a cup of coffee, and look at the clock. It'll be 8:30 when I start doing something. I'll look up again, it'll be 12:30. Like, it's just those 4 hours just fly by, and it never seems like you can get as much as you'd like to done during that time. But it just flies by, whereas in the past, you might be looking at the clock every 15 minutes and be like, man, that felt like an hour. And
yeah, it's so much more satisfying to be working for yourself, to be working this hard and knowing that every bit of profit is going to you and not to some CEO's bonus. And so to conclude this video, we just want to go over some advice that we would have if you are yourselves in the position where you're considering going into your business full time. I would say the number one advice I would have is to save your money. I talked about how in the years leading up to this decision, we really had to look at our financials, be able to plan for the worst. So when you're making money through your business, you want to base your budget on your worst months, really, not your best. Because when you're working for yourself, your income is going to fluctuate like crazy. October, November, December, you're going to see a lot of income come in. But then January, February, March, that's going to be reduced greatly. So you really want to be able to prepare your household for the lean times and not just for the months where you're making a lot of profit. You want to prepare for yourself for the worst. Imagine a whole year of not making any profit at all. Are you going to be able to sustain that? Are you going to be able to weather that? Because it's so unpredictable what can happen. There can be things that take away your income in an instant. And that can happen to any job, actually. It can happen to people working 9 to 5. So it's always a good habit to be preparing yourself financially for the worst. The next piece of advice I would have is to grow slowly. What happened to us back in May was amazing, yes, but if that had happened to us at the very beginning of our business journey, we would not have been able to fulfill all those orders. We would not have been able to hustle the way we did to get those orders out the door. It would have been a huge disaster. Really, this time when orders aren't coming in, take that time to really build up your brand, really build out your packaging and your business. Get all of that stuff figured out now, because you don't want to be figuring that stuff out when orders are pouring in. You really don't.
Another piece of advice that I have specifically would be to look at all the extra costs that are now you're going to have to be funding out of your pocket. For example, prescription costs. A lot of times if you're with a full-time employer, those are covered through medical insurance. So look at what those costs are. For me specifically, I'm a type 1 diabetic. I have a handful of prescriptions that I need to have. And so we looked at those.
You really want to figure out all of those things that a 9-to-5 figures out for you and make your own preparations. So you mentioned medical insurance. There's also the retirement aspect of it too. You want to be able to continue saving for retirement as well as putting money aside for out-of-pocket medical expenses. So make sure all of that stuff is covered before you make the leap from a full-time 9-to-5 to a full-time business owner. The next one, I would say, the next piece of advice is huge, especially if you're going into business with your spouse, and that's to be kind to one another. This is a really stressful venture, and you will test each other, that's for sure, because there's no HR person to mediate if there's conflict. You are your own HR person. You're your own managers and your own team leaders. It's all up to you. So at the end of the day, if you're bugging each other and you're not having a good day, it's best to just walk away from one another and give each other that space. Remember to always put the marriage first, and for us, that's super important. Like, no matter how stressful it gets, we have to remember that we are partners in life as well as in business, so we can't really kill each other. Some people might advise not to go into business with your spouse in the first place. There's something in that, I think, too.
I wouldn't say hard. Don't do it. It's just, don't do it if the situation isn't right, but...
Yeah. If it's to the detriment of your marriage, maybe you shouldn't do it. But for us, we've found that it's been okay. Another piece of advice is knowing when to take a break, and you want to be able to exercise that.
That's a good one.
Before you jump into this full time, because if you are just going to be working all the time, you're going to burn yourself out. And for us, we definitely experienced that around this time of year for sure, with all of the orders coming in. Know when to step away and understand that, okay, you're not, it's just the two of you, it's just you too. I know a lot of you guys are just in this on your own. So when it gets to be too much, it's okay to slow down, and you don't need to be pumping out product like crazy in order to succeed. Remember, I mentioned grow your business slowly and ease up to something like that. And if it's becoming too much, it's too much, and you need to recognize that. And the last piece of advice I would say is to learn to bookkeep. And by that I mean you want to start to track all of the things, all of the numbers that are involved with your business. So all of the income, all of the expenses, taxing yourselves. You want to get into the habit of doing that before you actually launch into your business full time, because all of that is important. You want to know whether or not your business is actually profitable, and you want to know exactly whether or not you're able to live off of the income that your business is making. So I know for me, I had to create spreadsheets that tracked all of our income, all of our expenses. I had to make spreadsheets to track inventory so that we're able to schedule it. I had to make spreadsheets also to price out how much our products actually cost us to make. All of that stuff is so important. I might do a video on all the spreadsheets that I've created because it's important, and there are programs that do that for you. I think QuickBooks is one, and we need to get QuickBooks, I think. Yeah. But if you're like us and you don't want to spend the money on QuickBooks and you're an Excel DIYer, that video will be helpful for you, because I created all of those and they're really helpful for us. Finding out whether or not your business is making you money should be the #1 factor in helping you decide whether or not you should go into it full time. So that is it. We really hope that you found this kind of video helpful. I know that I usually do these sit down talk through videos by myself, but so many people have been requesting that Kale come in and give his side of the story and give his input, so I hope that you guys enjoyed having him here. I know I did.
Thanks for having me today.
It's nice to bounce ideas off of one another and to film as a team, because this whole company is the two of us. So if you did like this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe. And all of you guys who have already subscribed, you guys are amazing. You have been really enjoying the comments too, especially when they talk about you. Kale's a big fan of his fans, I guess.
Okay. You guys are all great.
And with that being said, continue to shine, continue to grow, and continue to evolve, and we will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Feel...
Now I'm nervous.
Now you're nervous?
I'm fine though. There's a little REC that's red up there.
Yes, so we're good.
Okay, turn it off now and then delete it.
No. Okay. We'd like just get the willies out of the way.
Okay.